Have you ever found yourself in a conversation with your spouse where things just seem to feel a little off, like frustrating, confusing, and even defeating? Well, maybe it's not the issue at hand, but more likely it's the way you're responding to it. So today we're going to count down the 5 biggest communication mistakes that couples make.
We are Jeff and Teresa Fields, and we have been married 33 years, so we know about all the ups and downs of communication problems in marriage. So today, Teresa, we're going to talk about the 5 common mistakes that couples make in communication. They all begin with the letter D. And even better news than that, we have a solution for each one. So we're going to do a little bit of role playing, and you can really tell that it's not very well rehearsed. We're just going to wing it.
We try not to practice this in our marriage, right?
That's right. So let's demonstrate the first one, Teresa, and then we'll kind of talk about what it is.
Oh, okay. Jeff, I kind of feel like you're not helping enough with the housework. I really need you to do more with the kitchen and maybe with cleaning in the living room.
And what's up with that J.C. Penney's bill? And what's the shoes that you ordered online from Amazon? What's all that about? That is deflection. That's when there's some kind of conflict, but one or both of you don't want to deal with it, so you bring up another problem, try to deflect the situation, deflect the issue that the other spouse has brought up. So 1 Corinthians 14:33 says, God is not the author of confusion. So this really brings confusion and frustration, doesn't it, Teresa?
Yes, it really does, because nothing is getting resolved and you're not even getting to talk about the issue that was supposed to be addressed. Yes.
So what we need to do is focus on the target at hand. So your marriage needs to be a safe place. Your spouse needs to be able to bring up anything to you without fear of retribution, criticism, or penalty.
Right.
Right, Teresa?
That is so true.
You said, but as long as you both are kind and considerate, you should work to every issue. You really can. Remember, this is the person that you prayed for, brought into your life, and is your best friend. So that is who your spouse is. So they're not your adversary, but
right.
But you still should be able to bring up issues of concern or issues of frustration, and bring up something to your spouse without it becoming a raging conflict or a raging argument. So deflection is not dealing with the issue. Deflection is just it's kind of like the center of a basketball team that the team is trying to do a layup, and he swats it away. It's not in my house, and swats it away. So it's kind of deflecting it. Is trying to keep. Is just not. Or the goalie in soccer just deflects the ball, right? Tries to keep the ball from going into the net. So that's a deflection. It's not really dealing with the problem.
Right.
It's deflecting it, and it can really lead to frustration and confusion.
It could even be saying, I don't want to talk about this now. Let's talk about it next week. And that could be frustrating. Honey, I really need more help with the housework. Do you think you could pitch in a little bit?
Are you saying I'm a failure? Are you saying that I'm not the man of the house? I just feel like you're just putting me down all the time, and I can never do anything right. So that is disruption. That is when someone's bringing you a concern, and instead of letting them finish, you disrupt. You're not really listening to what they're saying, so you disruption. Now, there's 2 sides of this. When your wife or your husband comes to you with a concern or an issue, it shouldn't be a lecture. It shouldn't go on for 10, 15, 20, 30, 2 hours. It should not be a lecture. No one
Right.
likes to be lectured
Right.
to. They really don't. But maybe one or you or both are conflict adverse. And Teresa and I both fall into that category. Really, we're kind of conflict adverse with each other.
We try not
So,
to have any conflict.
It's one person is feeling like I'm a failure, and they can't do anything right, and they just hear
Condemnation.
condemnation.
Yeah.
They're in condemnation, like I'm just a bad husband. I'm failing, and it makes them feel anxious.
Mm-hmm.
But we practice active listening.
Right.
But you need to be concise. Your spouse should be able to come to you with a concern without fear of penalty, and you should be able to listen, be concise, 1 to 2 minutes. But
Right.
if your spouse is coming to you about something, don't be sitting there thinking about your response. Okay, I'm gonna really get her now. Wait till she hears what I gotta say. No, you listen, but the other one needs to be concise. But then you validate their feelings,
Right.
and say,
Right.
okay, honey, I understand you feel like I'm not helping with. What can I do? What can I do? Tell me what I need to do. Do you need help with the kids more, or do you just want me just to do the dishes every night? What can I do
Right.
to help? And so that is a conversation where you come to a solution without any one of you feeling condemnation.
That's right. That's right. I shouldn't feel bad for bringing something up, and you shouldn't feel bad like I'm condemning you, because it's not either one of those things. It's like you said, we can address things that need attention when it's something that's continuing to happen. It's not just like once in a while it happens. That way it can avoid a lot of hurt feelings, a lot of resentment building up if it's not addressed, if it just keeps going on, or like you said, if it got deflected or if it's getting disrupted. There's a lot of resentment that can happen, a lot of hurt. So we have to learn good communication skills in order not to fall into these mistakes.
Right. Now, Proverbs 18:13, a New American Standard, 1995 says, "He who gives an answer before he hears, it is folly and shame to him." So the answer is you take turns sharing.
Right.
It's not a lecture. It's not a beat down. It's someone speaks and someone responds. Someone speaks, someone responds. So you take turns sharing, because remember, your spouse is not your adversary.
Right.
You can get through this. No matter what it is, you can get through this.
And it helps to choose your words wisely when you want to address something. Like you said, don't attack your spouse with a concern. You have to be choosing your words well and not have it come across to them like an accusation. But just, I need to bring this up so we can come to a solution.
So let's act out number 3 of the common mistakes that you'll quickly regret.
Jeff, when we were at your parents' house for dinner last night, some things that they said and your other family members said were kind of embarrassing to me.
I think your imagination is running wild. It's simply not true. Nothing like that's happened. So that's
how I felt.
That is denial, and that is frustrating. It may not be that I am lying. I'm simply not aware. Proverbs 28:13 says, "He who conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will find compassion." So what you need to do, what Teresa should have done or can do, is say, when you made that joke about my weight, I felt embarrassed and hurt. So you have to be very specific with the facts and how they made you feel. So it, like I said, it may not be that I'm lying. I'm just not aware. Maybe that's something that the guys in my family always did.
Right.
And just something we did. But it's embarrassing to say something like that. So that is called denial.
Right. And like you said, that can happen easily when you have different family histories, different family experiences, and you come together to be married, and what seemed okay for his family may not be the way my family did things. So there's always going to be things you have to learn about each other and be aware to show some sensitivity for each other and, you know, what they're used to. But you can start making adjustments so that
Right.
it's not, well, it has to be always the way my family did it. You know, you can start giving up some of that if it turns out to be harmful to your relationship, hurtful to your
Right.
spouse. Jeff, it really seems like you're spending all your time out at the golf course, and I think we need more time together as a couple and time together as a family.
I really don't see what the big deal is. You know, I don't spend all my time at the golf course, only Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that gives me 4 days to spend with you. So technically, you're not right. I don't spend all my time. I spend most of my time at home. I only spend 3 days golfing. So you're not right. So that is diminishing. That's when you're not really validating your spouse's feelings.
Right.
And so I was speaking more like a lawyer than a lover. So you want to speak more like a lover than a lawyer, really do. So, and also what you can do is speak about your feelings that express the hurt. So what she should say, like she did, that she feels lonely, out-prioritized, and not close to me, and she should express those hurts. It's really a form of selfishness for someone to diminish your spouse's feelings. 1 Corinthians 13:5 says, "Love does not behave itself unseemingly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, seeketh not her own," which is selfishness.
That's right. That is so true.
Hey, if you would like a free PDF about romance tips for husbands and romance tips for wives, just drop the term romance in the comments and we'll send you a link ASAP.
Honey, it seems like you're spending an awful lot of money on golf equipment and golf shoes and golf clubs and things like that. Don't we need money for more necessary things, essentials?
Excuse me, don't you trust God? If you spent more your time studying the Word and praying, then you wouldn't be thinking of all these things to accuse me of. So that is demonizing. That's really you kind of reverse it, and you're making the other person out to be a bad guy. So she came to me with concern, and I said that she had a shortcoming. So that's demonizing, and it's really, really critical if that happens, not to reciprocate. You don't want to get this into a huge battle.
Right.
So you have to cool down. You may have to stop.
That's right.
And come back. And one of the techniques that the one who was hurt comes back and say, "No, when you said that really hurt."
Right.
I don't see how that was germane to the conversation. I had a legitimate concern about our finances and what we agreed to spend money on, and you put me down and made me feel like I was less than a wife.
Right.
A hot-tempered man stirs up strife, but the slow to anger calms a dispute. Proverbs 15:18, New American Standard. Also, Colossians 4:6, New American Standard, 1995. Let your speech always be with grace, as though seasoned with salt, so that you will know how you should respond to each person. So your talk should always be life-giving.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
You should always speak things life to your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Never put them down like I just did. I would never talk like that to
No,
Teresa.
you wouldn't.
I would never do that. We're play acting.
Right. That's why we're not good at this, because we don't talk to each other this way.
We don't talk this way to each other. So remember, your life with your spouse is a wonderful journey. There's going to be, it's like I said, many different kind of roads. There's the highways, and there's the country roads. There's gravel roads, there's dirt roads. But you're traveling with your spouse, and there's going to be some rough times, and there's going to be some smooth times. God wants you to have a successful, fulfilling marriage. He desires for you to be fulfilled and have everything you've ever wanted out of your marriage. He is a champion of making winners in life. That's especially true with marriages, which is amazing.
Amazing.
It really is amazing. So your marriage has to be a safe place where your spouse can come to you with any kind of concern without fear of penalty or criticism.
Right.
That you won't be met with deflection or disruption or denial or diminishing or demonizing.
Right.
So that you can solve these things with that. You can solve these problems. You really can.
That's right.
You can solve these problems. So until next time, remember, husband and wife are friends for life.